Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell the truth about silver. Today is Sunday, the 22nd of September 2024. And we've had gold up, silver up, crypto up, equities up, dollar value down, interest rates down. What's going to happen this coming week? Let's take a look. This video is going to be a little shorter than normal. We've got a lot to do this weekend and probably quite a lot to report during the course of the week. But first, just a quick reminder, we've set up a second channel entitled Finances Do Matter, covering a whole array of financial topics. We've placed a link in the description box and comment section below for those who've not as yet joined that channel. Now, gold rose $44 last week, rising from $2,579 to $2,623, having been as high as $2,626 and as low as $2,547, a rise of 1.7%. Please note, it closed just $3 off its high. Gold spread between high and low was $79. Last weekend, we said gold would trade between $2,525 and $2,625, which it did pretty much spot on. In sterling terms, gold was up £4, closing at £1,970, and in euros, it closed up €21 at 2,351 euros. Silver rose 38 cents, moving from $30.83 to $31.21. Having been as high as $32.22 and as low as $29.77, a rise of 1.2%, a little lower. The difference between its high and low was $2.45, though similar to last week, the peak above roughly $31.35 lasted just a minute or so. Its real high really was closer to $31.43 for the week. Last weekend, we predicted silver would trade between $29.50 and $32.50. Again, it did this range very comfortably. In sterling terms, silver actually was down 3 pence. This is the strength of sterling against the dollar at £23.45. And in euros, it closed up 0.17 euros at 27.99 euros. The gold to silver ratio rose slightly from 83.6 to 1 to 84 to 1. Bitcoin is up some $3,250 on last week at $63,224. Crypto benefited from the rate cut, which I shall discuss in a few moments. Equities were higher certainly in the United States, not quite so much in parts of Europe. The Dow Jones closed up 670 points at 42,063. The S&P 500 up 76 points at 5,702, and the Nasdaq Composite up 265 points at 17,948. However, the UK FTSE was down 44 points at 8,229, but had it not been for the 98-point fall on Friday, the FTSE would have been up. Oils were higher. Brent crude up $2.88 at $74.49, and WTI crude up $2.35 at $71 a barrel. The dollar index was down 0.39 on the week at 100.72. Expect that to fall further very soon. Now, last week we stated, quote, "We're still waiting for the US to cut its rate, which is guaranteed now to happen on Wednesday. The current Fed funds rate is 5.25% to 5.5% and is today standing at 5.33. We certainly see a cut of 0.25% this coming week, and some economists are predicting a 0.5% cut. We believe that will be wrong. Better to cut smaller more often than larger and then potentially regret the decision. But that said, the latest odds show there's been a rise from 28 to 49% for a 50 basis point cut. And that prospect had further been boosted when former New York Fed President Bill Dudley said there's a strong case for 50, unquote. That's what we said last week. Well, the 50-point cut is what happened. So we now have a Fed funds rate of 4.75 to 5%. The Fed also indicated via its dot plot that it will lower rates by up to another 0.5% in 2024 and reduce further in 2025 until they fall to around 3.25 to 3.5%. The Fed's position was indeed very dovish, which we think could be a mistake, but nevertheless, they seem to believe that inflation has now been beaten. An alternative suggestion could be, however, that they fear they could be entering into a recession, and therefore a 1% cut in 2024 is necessary to prevent this from happening. With other central banks like the Bank of England and European Central Bank suggesting lower rates ahead, it does make one wonder a little, what are the real figures underlying the Western and global economies? Well, we won't have long to wait, as next week we have the PCE inflation data for August, which will be announced on Friday. And the market is expecting a year-over-year reduction of the headline rate to fall from 2.5% to 2.2%. And the core PCE rate to slightly tick up from 2.6 to 2.7. If it improves on that, however, that would be extremely bullish for precious metals. At the same time, it's also expecting personal income, which will be announced on Friday, for August to rise from 0.35 to 0.4%, and spending to fall from 0.5% to 0.3%. So where does this leave the gold and silver markets? Well, with gold already having hit all-time highs again this last week, and silver just $1 short of its 10-year high, can we expect further advancement? Well, the Fed is clear that it plans on weakening the US dollar further, and we can expect the index to fall below 100 very soon if it doesn't happen this week. If there's another 0.5% cut in November, gold will undoubtedly reach $2,700. If it does not achieve that before then, which it's perfectly capable of doing. We have geopolitical tensions and a neck-and-neck presidential race in November, all creating enough uncertainty to bolster gold and precious metals. We shall see if the PCE figures are favourable, as they will either enable gold to continue its advance, or if they're not so favourable, cause a short pause, so that precious metals may consolidate before the next leg up. We cannot entirely rule out some profit taking. There's a lot of profit to be made and taken. But we do not like what we see geopolitically, including Israel and Palestine, oblique Iran, as well as Russia and the Ukraine. Silver's got a bit of catching up to do, with quite a significant cut in interest rates and more cuts globally to continue soon. We could see silver perform extremely well in the next few weeks. Again, subject to the PCE data. So, we do see gold having support close to the 25.75 level and resistance at the 26.75. So with that in mind, we are forecasting that gold will trade between 25.75 and 26.75, with 25.50 and 2700 as outliers, depending on that PCE data. And silver to trade between 29.75 and 32.50, with 29.25 and 33 as outliers. What do you think? Please do share your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening. We'd appreciate it if you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, press the bell sign, pop on over to Finances Do Matter, subscribe there if you haven't already done so. Have a great what's left of your weekend, and hopefully another prosperous week ahead.